Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ, you're here on the home of the Slightly Above Average Ship Review. We are in an epicenter match in the Karl XIV Johan, the most recent campaign ship. And the Karl XIV Johan is a figment of Wargaming's imagination. And we will quote Wargaming's own words to prove that using geometric logic. All right, we're on Islands of Ice. Here is a look at the teams. We are top tier. And this is not the best game I had in the Karl XIV Johan. I actually had a game where I had over 160,000 damage. But that game somehow disappeared. So you get this one. All right, looking at WoW's builds really quickly. The pending damage record is 251,747 by Captain Rotelio, and he also has a pending base XP record of 3801. We won't get anywhere near that today in the Karl XIV Johan. Over to wiki.wargaming.net. Sweden, driven by its aim to bolster its naval forces after World War I, could explore the possibility of acquiring and completing a German battleship. So this is utterly fictional, just made up by Wargaming. It's a German battleship that they slapped a shit ton of Bofors guns on, and so basically this is a made-up ship. We are shooting tons of HE. We will continue to shoot tons of HE in this match. And we set our first fire. Back to wiki.wargaming.net for some worthless stats that mean absolutely nothing. Max dispersion, 250 meters. HE and AP initial shell velocity, 865 meters per second. Shell weight for both types of shells, 415 kilos. That's a lot of cocaine. My impressions of the Karl XIV Johan while you're seeing this match: low caliber guns. I actually think I had a lot of success setting fires, but I wouldn't count on that in every game you play in the ship. It has great torpedoes. However, the launchers get knocked out very, very easily. It's not especially accurate. That's probably one of the better shell groupings going in there. The sonar's nice. The secondary charges are nice. But you don't have the armor to stand up at close quarters. And we'll see that in the armor viewer. Because this is a World War I design. Again, I have a big problem with the World War I designs playing at this tier. It just does not realistically make sense. All right. We are moving around the outside of this island because the enemy, thankfully for us, went the other way. There is just... Oh, we've lost 2 ships already. Just wait. This is a match that we're in. We're good. We are good. All right, Prince Ruprecht out there. Whenever I say that name, I always think about that movie, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. If you love comedy, you will love Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Anyway, the Ruprecht is getting messed up, and he is dead. Also got a Vanguard out there, stretching the limits of our main battery. Looks like he's going to park up on a rock, so we're going to shoot this island out of protest. Enemy Karl XIV Johan out there, not really doing anything. We're engaging him by our torpedo launchers, and they have 2. I think they have 2 of them. Anyway, we hazarded that salvo with a little damage. And we're going to turn to get all 4 off, and we will torp. And he's in secondary range. So we're going to hit our secondary thingamabobber, and we're going to turn away. It's always risky to turn away like this. He is not a good player, so we didn't really suffer any consequences for showing that much broadside. We set him on fire, and we are going to get 3 torpedo strikes and do quite a bunch of damage. and that ship is now deceased. So yeah, these torpedoes are really nice. The secondaries are good, not great. And he was launching torpedoes, and because we turned away, we were able to avoid most of them. All right, Soviet Russia. I have a feeling he's going to turn into the gap here. So we put some more torpedoes out on him. We're going to get those front turrets around and spam some more HE his way. By the way, I think we just set our 5th fire. So not great, but also not terrible. And it's a great way to accrue damage. You got low caliber guns. I mean, anytime you're top tier, I would not hesitate to spam HE. I mean, quite frankly, I wouldn't hesitate to spam HE at any time in this ship. Think about it this way. There are battleships at Tier 3 that have 305 millimeter guns. You were at Tier 8 with 305 millimeter guns. So don't get it twisted. These are not very good guns. German battleships and battle cruisers, maybe somewhat undergunned, so to speak. So just factor that in. You know, we took a little bit of damage from that salvo. Again, we're turning around to get our torpedo launchers. On target, we are over 80,000 damage. We're going to launch 1 set, 2 sets towards Russia, but I think we zoom in here, we're going to see that he's going to turn back in. That was a pretty good salvo, and we did take some damage there. Oh, never mind. There's our first kill via the torpedo. All right, so we're going to keep on moving, and we can heal back up. All right, so we got an Admiral Schroeder out there. We are pushing into the cap circle here. And our team we're down on points. We're also down on ships, but as a famous radio host often says, let not your heart be troubled. We are still, we're still in this game. We're still alive. We've got to deal with the enemy carrier. We're over 100,000 damage. I'm turning, A, to get some shots off at the Admiral Schroeder, B, to try to mitigate torpedo damage. And thankfully, we do manage to dodge by the hair of our chinny chin chin. And we are trying to get free without running into an island here. I want to get to the open water. It's going to be a little bit better to dodge airplanes. And we're continuing to shoot HE out there at the Vanguard. We are spotted probably by the destroyer, although airplanes are still continuing to come in. So I'm going to turn back the bow of the ship to port. And there is another ship out there, in addition to the Admiral Schroeder. You know, my thoughts on the AA of the Karl XIV Johan, you are going to believe it is better than it actually is when you look at the stats in the port. Quite frankly, the best AA is just around the ship. The longer reaching AA is not very strong. So even though they added in a bunch of Bofors guns to, quote, modernize this, you do not have strong AA in the ship, in my opinion. Good, not great. It's going to be hard to get a clear sky medal because either you're going to get destroyed by whoever's targeting you at this tier, or you won't be able to do much else because you're going to spend all your heals recovering from being targeted by the carrier planes. Just one man's opinion when it comes to the AA of the Karl XIV Johan. All right, there's another fire. We're continuing to shoot down airplanes, although, as I've said, not very proficiently. More torpedoes in the water, and as I turn, did we see the carrier? Thankfully, I took those on the torpedo belt, so they didn't do as much damage. Vanguard is hiding behind an island. I can't get to the part of the ship I want to get to. There is the Saipan, rear turrets coming around. We're going to start to back and turn at the same time. We are continuing to shoot down airplanes. I think he's going after my teammate here, and that probably was a mistake. He should have kept it on me, but that's just my opinion. Got the rear turrets off. They didn't do a whole lot. Turning. Trying to get the front turrets. Our secondaries kick in. We do hit our secondary charge here. All 4 turrets lined up. Some more HE spammed out. Doesn't do a ton of damage. Torpedoes for good measure. But we are not going to need him because our teammate whittles him down and we take him out for a close quarters expert and our second kill. Remember I said, even though we were down, we weren't going to lose this game? That's because I'm here. That's why. All right. So I apologize to my teammates for greedily taking all the credit. I really don't know if I was as instrumental to the victory as I would like to think. All right, turning back here. We got the Vanguard, we got a cruiser, and we got a destroyer. Pretty soon the destroyer is going to start to spot me pretty regularly. So I'm going to, like right now. So I'm like, hey, can I get some spotting, please? Then I realize our carrier is dead. So it's not going to come from him. All right, I guess that guy was shooting one at me and one at the other ship. He did not hit either of us. Admiral Schroeder is still going around. There's some HE for him. Again, acceptable grouping, not great grouping. We set another fire. The Vanguard is inaccessible because it's behind a rock. And so we are going to keep going and keep targeting the Admiral Schroeder. Yeah, I know some people are going to say, but you should have switched to HE or should have switched to armor piercing. But I've got this destroyer to worry about, and the Schroeder is turning away. And so I'm continuing to fire HE without changing my shell type, because that's what I arbitrarily decided was going to be the best course of action, at least for right now. All right, Schroeder is turned in. We're going to fire another full salvo. Again, there is the enemy destroyer. Finally spotted him. Point him out to my teammates. Secondary guns are going off at the Schroeder. We are engaged by the destroyer. Keeping an eye on the Vanguard. He should have pushed out right then, as we might have been distracted. Front 2 turrets of HE at the Fletcher. Do a nice chunk of damage there. And I know he launched more torpedoes. We've got our sonar going. We've got our secondaries going. The Schroeder gets taken out. And so these are the last 2 ships. Front 2 turrets, second salvo at the Fletcher, and we get our 3rd kill. Turning in, are we skinny enough to fit in between these torpedoes? The answer is yes. And can we dodge the second salvo of torpedoes? I think we're going to take one on the nose. Maybe not. Nope. We're going to dodge them both. So relatively close quarters. If they have a torpedo spread, like a U.S. torpedo spread, as you saw that was a U.S. ship, or wider, you can dodge those. If they have the ability to fire at close intervals, like a British, or maybe Pan-European, then probably not. Here's going to be a really disappointing salvo of HE. The rear turret did hit the glacier there, but those shells did not even hit him at all, I don't think. And at least the first 3 turrets were up there. So we don't get our 4th kill. But all in all, I think that's a pretty good game. Shows you what the Schroeder can, or the Karl Johan can do out there. All right, close quarters expert. We ended up with 130,843 total damage. 5 torpedo strikes. We shot down 13 airplanes. 3 kills, 9 fires, 1 assisted base cap, and 1 cap defended flag. We ended up with 347,000 and change, over 6,200 ship XP, over 6,500 commander XP in the come from behind victory, which I'm very proud of. All right, team results. We're number 2. Buffalo, number 1. We're number 2. 2,270 base XP, 1 medal, 3 B kills. Essentially had the same game as the other Karl XIV Johan on our team, who had about the same amount of base XP, the same close quarters expert medal, and the same 3 kills. So What can I say? That's what you're going to get in a good game out of the Karl XIV Johan. All right, going to go back into the port here and take a look at the ship. In terms of the upgrades, we went with Secondary Battery Mod 2, Damage Control System Mod 2, Target Acquisition System Mod 1, and I hate that they interrupt post-match by doing this now, and Main Battery Mod 3. In terms of the loadout, you've got 4 charges of the repair party, 3 charges of a short-range sonar, 5 charges, pardon me, of the enhanced secondary targeting. We are running the rare battle booster here for movement speed and cooldown time, the permanent Type 9 camo, and the Karl XIV Johan flag. 75,090 hit points and a 20% torpedo damage reduction with our build. Got those 4 triple 305mm turrets, 17.6 kilometer firing range. Looks like 22.5 second reload, 28.6 second turn time. HE shells, just 4350 max damage with a 28% fire chance. AP shells, just 8400 max damage. 2 sets of secondaries, range of both is 8.2 kilometers with our build. First set of 6x2 120s, reloads every 3 seconds, 1700 max HE shell damage, 7% fire chance. Second set of 14 individual 150s, reloads in 7.5 seconds, 2200 max HE shell damage with a 13% fire chance. So I've seen better secondaries, but these aren't terrible, I guess. And so that's why we built into them a little bit. 4 quad launchers, they reload every 86 seconds. The max damage looks like 10,700. It could be an 18, I just can't see that number anymore. 10 kilometer range, 86 knots, they are screamers. Use that to your advantage. They are very detectable at 1,600 meters. AA defense, again, like I said, those Bofors guns do what looks like 478 damage per second. They go out to just 4 kilometers. Your longer range dual purpose secondaries don't do a lot of meaningful damage, as you saw. Maneuverability, 32.2 knots, so I'd call it a fast battleship or a battle cruiser. 890 meter turning circle, not great. 16.4 second rudder shift time, not great. Not concealable. 14.7 on the surface, 12.3 from the air, 12 kilometers flat when firing in smoke. Yes, I know I'm not using the concealment mod. 22 matches, we won 13 for a 59% winning percentage. Main battery, not accurate, 34%. Torpedoes, more accurate than I would believe at 14%. And we're almost equal in the kills by main guns versus torpedoes. So don't forget to use your torpedoes. Kill death ratio of 0.9, averaging just under 75k damage per battle. As you can see, our best match, we had over 160,000 damage. And I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to that one. So you got this one instead. So it's okay, but it's not great. A really big letdown is the armor profile. And we're going to look at that here. Very lightly armored. You do have a below water citadel. Turrets and barbettes. These are German designs, so very lightly armored. Somewhat sloped. This front end armor is really terrible. 32 millimeter bow. Here's the worst part. You have a 35 millimeter armor belt. That's not going to do anything for you at this tier. Torpedo plating is all down at the bottom of the ship. And the casemate goes up to 330. Again, if you were at tier 3 or 4 or 5, that'd be great. But at this tier, it's not going to do a whole lot. And that is the armor profile of the Karl XIV Johan. All right, we are going to see, it says right there, we just made this ship up out of thin air. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Hello? I don't know why we're still on the screen. Maybe I was reading this when I recorded it and thought it would be good. But anyway, it just says it's basically a German battleship that they slapped torpedoes and Bofors guns on and put it at Tier 8 where it does not belong. So anyway, looking at the commander here, if I could convince myself to do that, we use the base commander Conrad Helfrich. Base trait Vespiary increased the AA damage per second and movement speed. We got Enrique Fernandez for range and Ernest King for AA firing range. Kind of a hybrid build we built into the AA. Clearly, it wasn't as effective as I would have hoped. No fly zone in row 1. Crisscross in row 2. Fortified in row 3. Stand or fall in row 4. And fully packed as our legendary skill. So your mileage may vary with the commander choice. I just did not feel that the battleship commander really worked with this guy. I ran it some games with there using reckless gunmen and stuff like that. I just didn't like the way it felt. So anyway, that's the Karl XIV Johan secondary build. Would love to hear your comments below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you Thursday with a review of the GJ Merker, and it may be the last time I ever play the GJ Merker, just to preview that. So I'll see you then. Thanks.